Hello everyone, my name is Tyler, and today I'll be showing you how to implement a simple menu system for a Tactics RPG project. These edits are currently being done on Godot 4.3 because that is what I had originally started writing this code on, and I did not want to take a risk of the project breaking in the transition to Godot 4.4, so after this video I will be looking into transitioning to the engine version 4.4, so stay tuned for that if there are any conflicts that arise. Okay, so first things first is that we're going to want to make our menus. So let us do a new folder, call this menus. We're going to create a new scene, and we are going to name this action menu. And then we're going to create another scene and call that pause menu. Okay, let's open those up. Oop. Did a folder here, let me delete that real quick. Create new scene, pause menu. Okay, so before we actually add anything to these two scenes, we need to change them to canvas layer. Canvas layer, change, save. Change, save. And the reason that we're changing this to canvas layer is so when we instantiate the action menu or pause menu into the scene, like let's say we had our menu here at the center of our scene, it would pop up in pretty much the exact same spot on this scene rather than where the camera's focused. But by having it be a canvas layer, it'll always stay at the center of where the camera is focused, which makes it a lot nicer. Instead of just having to kind of finagle with the 2D scene to get everything working. Alright, for the action menu, we're now going to add a child node. It's going to be a VBox container. And let's see here, can I center this? Yeah, I just center that to the screen. We're going to add a child node to this, and we're going to make it just a button. And then can I just copy and paste this? Let's see. Control C, Control V, 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay. Then for the pause menu, we're going to do the exact same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe I want 5 buttons. Yes. Okay. And we're just gonna set that to the center of the screen and save that. Alright, so let us quickly name these buttons so we know what each of them does. This is going to be the units button. This one will be the options button. I put an S at the end of that. There we go. See here, this one will be empty button. This is kind of just a placeholder to divide the top and the bottom, because the bottom two are going to be the end turn button and the close button. Right? I don't want the player to just have the end turn right next to the options and they accidentally click, end turn when they meant options. Okay. Let's save that. Let's put the name in there, units, options, end turn, and close. Okay. And then for this one, we are going to do attack button, items button, and I'm kind of basing this off of Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. It's very, very old, but it has a very simple UI setup that I liked quite a bit. Oops, trade. And then this button later down the line we'll need to program to where it only pops up when you're next to an ally unit. This one will be button. Rename this one to the wait button. And then this will be the cancel button. Cancel. Wait. Put a space there just so it opens up. Alright. And before I forget, we need to go to the empty buttons real quick. Go to focus, set this to none, and then on mouse we should set that to ignore. And then, oh, the reason why we're doing this is because, let me play this scene real quick. You see how it hovers, it has the hover and you can click it. When we disable those two options, it doesn't do that on the button anymore, because we don't want people to be able to click this later down the line, like say further into development when you're going into say Artify or something along that line for UI. You just want to like make this invisible completely or something like that. Okay, close that. Empty button, focus, none, mouse, ignore. Now we need to add our scripts. So we just do this, create. I don't really like that name. So let me just rename this to action menu. And then let us save that. Attach script, pause menu, and save that. Okay. I'm just going to move this right here just because I want it to be organized when I go into explaining each of these scripts that we'll be editing later. For now, let us go to Action Menu, click on the button, Node, double click Press, Connect. Let us delete the process function right here because we're not going to be using that. Let's see here, pause menu, delete that from pause menu as well. Save that. We have got the attack button. Now we need the items. Okay. Trade button. We don't need the empty button to have a signal on it. Wait. And then the cancel button. Okay. Save that. We have the signals all attached to our action menu. Now let's go to pause menu and do the same thing. Okay, so now we're going to start the section where we actually call these menus so that they can pop up in our main scene right here when we're in the game. So for the pause menu, we want it to open up whenever we click in a space that is not filled. For the action menu, we want it to pop up after a unit moves, because then we'll have the option, say for attack, you know, trade, whether they're going to change their items, use an item. Or let's say, for instance, we have them, you know, want to wait so that they can just do nothing, or they cancel. Cancel is where they would move back. I know that some people would like it to where move is first, and I'll kind of briefly mention what you'll need to change later, but this is kind of just the setup that I'm going to use because that's what I coded first and I prefer it that way. Okay, so we need to go into the game board. GD script. Now, if like, let's say we go to script, you already have it here, just click that. If you don't have it there, what you would go to is you would just go to the game board. and double click Gameboard GD, and it'll pop up right here. So the first thing that we need to do in Gameboard GD is that we need to have instances of the pause menu and action menu that we can instantiate. And to do that, we're going to do const pause menu equal to preload. And we are just going to find our scene right here. So this is going to be the pause menu. We're just going to drag it over. And then we're going to do the same for the action menu. Preload. Then just drag this over. Save that. We are also going to add 2 new global variables. One of them is going to be the previous cell that the unit was on, and the other one will be the previous position that the unit was at. Now, you could technically, I believe, get one from the other, but I think it's just faster to have both. And I'm kind of basing this, I believe, off of the code from a commenter who figured out how to reset the unit's position. So, you know, thank you. You know who you are. And I just forgot your username, so I'm sorry. Besides that, though, we're going to go to Control F _ cursor except pressed. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a lot of changes to this function, and as nice as it would be for me to kind of explain it as I go, it's a bit much, so I'll be doing that after. So for now, I will just be doing a whole lot of coding. Okay, this is gonna be and units.as cell select unit. This one's gonna become, let's see here, active square unit not equal to null. Then this is if is underscore occupied cell and underscore units cells equal to active units bar action menu equal to action menu dot instantiate. Save that. Underscore units dot erase active underscore unit dot cell units cell to unit add underscore child action menu. Ooh. Why am I getting an error? Units. Oh, there we go. This could be else if not is underscore occupied cell. Cells dot as cell. Await move underscore active unit cell action underscore menu equal to menu dot instantiate underscore child underscore from there we've got else errors. So I've moved some stuff around here. I've added comments, and I forgot to add these two lines in the recording of the previous clip. We need to have deselect active unit and clear active unit to fix a bug that can appear. This is just a temporary fix, this block right here, because later on we'll need to have the unit still active when we do like attacks, checking items, and whatnot. But to start from the top, this is still pretty much the exact same as the original. We're just selecting unit here. We've added these extra checks though, so we can have the very bottom, which is the else. We're allowing the player to now have the ability to select a cell without a unit, and then thus they are able to pull up the pause menu by doing so, which I can show right here. There it is, there's the pause menu. And I can do it one more time. So let's just say we go down, there's nothing here, click, there's the pause menu again. Okay, now for the giant beefy part in the middle, we've got the else if active unit is not equal to null. This is essentially checking if the unit is already selected, thus we pull up an action menu, the unit's action menu. And when we pull up the action menu, there's going to be two different instances of how we want the operation to go. This first instance is, let's say the unit stays still, right? We want to remove its preview and then bring up the menu. Versus, let's say they're moving, move active unit right here will already handle this previous section and then pull up the menu as well. So I can show that real quick. Let's say we have our unit move, the cells disappear, the menu pops up. Okay. Now this unit that can't move, let's click him once. We're going to have him stand still, so we're going to click the cell that he's on. It's going to pull up the menu and move his cells. Right now you can still move your cursor and stuff. I'll show you how to fix that later. But I will just show it one more time where the unit stays still with a unit that has more movement range. Click him once, click again, menu pops up, and the cells disappear, or the hover display, I mean. Okay, so to quickly kind of mention my theory on how you would add a move button, essentially, so like let's say there's a move button up here, so that you would have the character click that, or the player click that button first, move their character, and then the action menu appears. What you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have a new menu, new action menu that has move on it, and you're gonna set it to be right below select unit. After the unit is selected, you're gonna have that menu pop up, and then you're just gonna take this whole section right here, and you are going to have to put it into its own function that is going to be called by the move button when the move button is clicked. Let us go to the top of our project now, or I mean top of gameboard.gd. Go to the onReady variables, do at onReady. See here at onReady. Var cursor is equal to the cursor object. Okay. And now we will go to action menu GD, and we will add that as well at onReady. Var cursor equal to get underscore parent dot underscore cursor. Oop, forgot parentheses. All right, and what this is this is essentially calling this line right here, and then this line is creating the cursor object, which is this right here. So that way we can hide the cursor, disable it, and just change its various statuses with it from the action menu. So go back to action menu. We're now going to disable the cursor, but first let me just add something that I want to make sure people know about. If you're going to be doing controller development, you're going to need to have this grab focus in order to have the menu be accessible to controllers. Okay. And then from here, this is going to disable the cursor. So cursor.hide, and then we're going to do cursor.process underscore mode to node, to node dot process mode disabled. Right, and then this disables the cursor, and now we need to make it to where the menu can go away and also re-enable the cursor. And we're going to do this on the wait button real quick. So the very first line, if you had the actual implementation for the wait button, is you would set the current to wait status, and then we would clear the active unit. Okay, and now we're going to not re-enable, I'll just type in enable the cursor and close the menu. So cursor dot process underscore mode equal to node dot process mode inherit. It's the default setting, I believe. See here, what am I running to? Node, oh, auto translate. No, we don't. We want to do process mode inherit, not auto translate inherit. Okay. Cursor dot see here reset underscore cursor. This is going to be a function that I'm going to implement later, but I just want you to know that it's going to be right there. And then we're going to do cursor dot show and q underscore free. And what q underscore free does is this essentially just deletes the menu, so that way it essentially closes. Because I believe I tried using hide and that was just not working. I was having trouble with it, and I think it's a lot better to just delete the menu completely. Okay, so time to check. See here, let's move them and then wait. Yep, menu goes away. Perfect. Let us quickly add this to the pause menu. So let's copy this, put that there. On the ready is exactly the same. Although we need to change this from attack button to, I believe, okay, units button. Units button. Go back to action menu. And then we're going to take this right here. Pause menu. And then we're going to put this to close. All right. And we can check that now with the pause menu. Close. Close. Yep. There we go. Close. Also, the grab focus that I was talking about earlier is essentially just that white box around the perimeter. Okay. Okay, so what is cursor.reset underscore cursor? Well, if we go into the game real quick, let's say I click all the way up here, and then I click close. Close. Oh, is it not happening? Okay, how strange. Well, it's not happening here, but I was having an issue on my personal project, or essentially the main branch that I do a lot of the initial bashing together of all the code on. It is not moving the cursor over. Very strange. It keeps it at the center. But the problem I was having was essentially, if you, like, let's say I moved this and then I moved the cursor up and then I clicked wait, it would like quickly flash from the top to the center. And it was pretty annoying. I did not like it as a visual effect. I found it very strange that it was occurring to begin with. So I'll still show you how to code this just in case you have it happening, and to keep continuity with my own code. So we're going to re-enable this. And then we're going to go to cursor.gd. Let's just go all the way to the bottom. And then let's see here. This function this is a function that essentially just draws white box. Just so you know what that does, because I just realized there's no comment on it for some reason. We are going to make the function reset _ cursor, and then let's set that to void if, and we primarily want to do this if we're on mouse, is mouse var grid _ chords equal to grid dot calculate grid coordinates, get global mouse position if cell is not equal to grid _ chords, cell is then equal to grid _ chords. Okay, and just to make sure it doesn't crash the game, run through this real quick. Wait, to there, wait, down, wait, click again, wait, yeah, okay, there we go. You know, looking at my old code here, I realized this if is kind of useless, because we can always just set it equal and not have to do this check. So we can remove this line real quick and it'll still work fine, which is that's kind of some of the good parts of going over my old code by breaking it down and doing these videos, is that I kind of realize what's kind of extraneous, what's redundant, and it helps you break things down. We're now going to go to Action Menu GD and implement the cancel button. This would be the last thing that we're going to be implementing in the video. So, without further ado, we're just going to make a comment here real quick that says reset the unit's position. And the reason we're leaving a comment there is because we don't have the function implemented yet, but we'll be getting to that. And then at the very bottom, we're just going to copy and paste our section from the wait button here, which is us enabling the cursor and closing the menu. Let's run the game real quick just to make sure that that button is closing the menu properly. So move, cancel, perfect. Okay, so how do we reset the unit's position? How do we make a function to do that? Well, we need to go back to GameBoard GD, and at the very top, if you remember at the beginning of the video, we did two variable creations, which is for the previous cell and the previous position. We need to put values into these, and to do that we need to go to the select unit function, Control F, select _ unit, and right here we are going to add the previous positions. So let's do previous cell equal to cell, and then previous position equal to underscore active unit dot position. Okay. And this is us just assigning the values here whenever the unit is selected. And now we need to go make the reset unit function. And to do that, let us just scroll all the way to the bottom. Let's see here. And we're going to put it just below hover display. So let's do enter here. Function reset unit void. Then we're going to do if active unit and active underscore unit dot cell is not equal to the previous cell. Do active unit dot position equal to previous position. Save that. Why am I still getting an error? Previous cell. Oh, I typed it wrong. There we go. So units dot erase active unit dot cell units previous cell equal to active unit score active unit dot cell equal to previous cell, and then we're just going to do previous underscore cell equal to null, as well as underscore previous underscore position equal to null. These are, we're just clearing it just in case, let's say in the future that we do call these again, or we do checks on them. We don't want those values to stay after reset the unit. And then we do deselect active unit and clear active unit. To kind of explain this whole function line by line, I wrote some comments to make it a little bit easier for me as well as for others. But what's kind of going on here is that reset unit as a whole resets the position of the unit to its original position before moving. And I mean this not as the value position, but you know, in a figurative sense. This line here, this is just making sure that we're, you know, we actually did move before we do the reset unit, because when we click cancel, if the unit hasn't moved, we don't need to run all of this. It's pretty much useless. But if the unit has moved, we do need to run this function. So this first line right here, when we set the unit's position back, this visually moves the unit to the previous position, right? This next line, this erases the unit data from being on the grid. That makes it to where the cell that it's currently on, this list units has the data of every single unit that is there, and we're just wiping it clean. And then the line below that is when we attach that data back to the previous cell on the grid. And then the next line right here, this is when we literally move the unit back to the previous cell. So even though we have attached the unit's data to the grid, the unit itself does not know that it has been moved back. So this is why we have this line here, is so that the unit knows that it has been moved to the previous cell, and not just the grid is the only one that knows this. So we have to have all of this here, else the game will crash, or there will be some really weird visual stuff going on. And then once again, like I said before, you know, we're just clearing this just in case. and then we're deselecting and clearing the unit because the player is not going to be taking action with them. For all of this to work now, we need to go up to move active unit, move active unit, and this very bottom line right here, we need to just comment it or delete it out. I'll leave it commented out for now. But the reason we need to clear this line is so that it doesn't wipe away the active unit. This is how we do resetting the unit, because in order for us to move the unit back, we have to call the active unit variable, and we don't want that to be wiped clean right after a unit moves. As well as later down the line when we want to do things like attacking or even using items and such, we don't want this to be cleared after the unit moves. Okay, and then for the final touches, we need to go to action menu GD, do a new line here, get underscore parent dot underscore reset unit. There we go, no errors. Let's run the project. Let's click this unit, move him down. Moves, click cancel, moves back. There we go, his value is still there. Perfect. Let's click the unit. That doesn't move, cancel. Let's do it again one more time on a unit. Cancel. Perfect. Alright, just to kind of recap everything that we've done, I'll run the project again real quick. We have added a simple menu system that can be expanded upon. Most of the buttons aren't functioning, but we do have a few. For instance, we can now bring up a pause menu when we select a cell that doesn't have a unit on it, and we can click close. We can't click units, options, or enter, but we can close the menu. Whenever we select a unit and we move them, it brings up the action menu. We can click wait, which just has them stay in the same spot, or when we click cancel, it'll move them back. We also have the ability to have units not move at all, and they can either wait or cancel. It does the same thing. And we'll do it one more time with a different unit. That's an enemy unit. There we go. So with this, I've kind of gone over a lot of code that I had worked on for a couple of months. I understand that some of my explanations in this are a bit haphazard, as well as my own understandings of this aren't at the level of where they were when I had initially made them. So if you do have any questions, please do leave a comment down below, as well as shoot me an email or contact me through other means if you know of them, because at the end of the day, I understand that a lot of my code is kind of just from my base understanding of Godot. I'm not an expert. I'm kind of just an amateur that has some coding experience, and I'm kind of just doing this as I go along. If you have better methods, tell me, and I will definitely update the GitHub as well as inform people on new videos. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.